Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to FinextraTV's Thought Leadership Series. Today we're speaking with Railsbank about the recent acquisition of the payments processor Wirecard, a buyout of which will hopefully end a tumultuous period for Wirecard's UK business, which the fintech industry was keeping a close eye on after it was temporarily shut down by the Financial Conduct Authority. But to talk us through what happened and a bit more about the acquisition is Nigel Verdon, CEO of Railsbank. So Nigel, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. Good to be back and be invited back on the show again.
Brilliant. So back in August, Railsbank confirmed its intent to acquire Wirecard, and since then, the deal has been closed. So can you start off by running us through what happened so we can take a step back and talk about maybe the reverberations this story has had on the rest of the market?
Yes, when there was some irregularities becoming very obvious in the accounting of processes of Wirecard, and then there's this whole of a few $1 billion identified, there was a view that Wirecard will be closing down as a company. So I reached out to some of the advisory board and said if they're interested in selling off parts of the business, we'd like to register our interest. And the parts of business we're interested in is not very much the payment processing side, but the card issuing side of the business. So about 95% of their business was payment processing, 5% was card issuing. That's primarily out of the UK, and there's a big US business as well, but was pretty much standalone. So we registered our interest, and then as part of the process, we went through and ended up with initially a binding heads of terms and then a fully signed document literally a few weeks back. And now we've been working on how to migrate everybody over to Railsbank, which is a huge task.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what are the implications then of Wirecard, sort of maybe a scandal, some would say, but on different areas of the fintech sector? What are the reverberations?
The implications are, can fintech be trusted? And that's so if you've got a card holder and suddenly you've got Wirecard on the back, or you've got Wirecard as your acquirer on an e-com, can you be trusted? And that, to be honest, I think as a company, yes, they can be trusted. There was a few people causing the problems, but the rest of the people are still very, very good people as well. And especially in the card issuing world, very talented and very experienced, and they have some good processes and good clients there. So the impact has caused ripples. It has caused concerns over the concentration risk of customers over one supplier as well. And it also caused concerns very much from a regulatory side, were the regulators on top of this, both mainly in Germany and BaFin, the listing authorities on the DAX, etc., and in the UK with the FCA. Now, we've had a couple of less high-profile companies blow up in the UK, like Ipagoo last year. That was a clearer of sterling with UK faster payments, and then having Wirecard. So I think the implications are we need to get a better dialogue and a closer dialogue with the regulators, so they got eyes on, and that's happened. We're in a weekly dialogue, sometimes daily, with the FCA. On this project and also on our general business, because we're direct clearers with the Bank of England as well. Mm-hmm. So the implications of what's happened to the industry, how the industry I think is coming out in a better place. So that's number one. Number two, I think we've got to work on, if we've got systemic risk of multiple customers sitting on top of platforms like ourselves, Wirecard and others in the market, perhaps we should have enhanced regulation for platforms that's similar to the PRA regulation for banks, and perhaps move us into the PRA with a non-lending type license, but with living wills, etc. So people can have the comfort there's good regulation below us and everything. And then introduce things like proper material outsourcing, rather than guidelines, but pure about regulations like you have in Singapore and Luxembourg. And so we have to conform to those in SLAs, etc. So the impact to the market and regulatory environment, I think, is very much behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. To the consumer, that's a real concern. The card holders who now think, will I trust fintech cards? And part of us getting involved in acquiring Wirecard's business is to hopefully put our brand and our reputation behind it, to give cardholders some comfort that we are a quality business. We've got a great board, very experienced people on the board, a very diverse board as well, and senior people like CEO of HSBC, former CEO of HSBC Insurance, former US Fed, and people who should be seen to be trusted to look after their cards, their money, etc. So I think it is a bit of an Enron moment, as Enron was, but everybody will recover from it, and it's, we're working diligently together. And the key thing is not to be just to completely beat up Wirecard the whole time, because a lot of the people there are very good and very quality, and will remain very good and quality people and grow their careers. So I think both cards should be a badge of honour for the majority, and a badge of failure for those who let them down.
Well, it's looking a lot more hopeful, and I'm going to be interested to see how the story develops further down the line. And of course, this acquisition makes Railsbank the largest banking-as-a-service platform in Europe now. So it'd be great if we could look at the bigger picture then. Do you think that we're going to be seeing more consolidation in the fintech sector, following from what we've just said?
Well, I think the banking as a service sector, by definition, is a consolidation type business. It's like AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, and the other ones like Alibaba Cloud, etc., and more in China. So platform businesses tend to be a platform that a lot of people use. They're not point type businesses. So I think there will be consolidation. We're growing across the world. We're now live UK, Europe, Singapore. We've started in the US as well. And so we are building a global platform that people will run on. But we're also taking the consciousness and the learnings from this Wirecard situation, that platforms have to be run as a reliable platform, just like plumbing. You expect to go to turn your water on and it comes out 24/7 and you can drink it without getting ill. We're the same. We're just plumbers of the fintech nation. And that's so we're humble plumbers, as you might look at us, who do a bit of tech.
I like the analogy there. And I just want to talk a little bit more about regulation before we finish, because I understand earlier in the year you made a rallying call to the industry to work with the regulator to bring about change, like you've just said. But following on from that, why do you think the market needs more calmness and stability, especially now?
It needs we're in a post-COVID situation, so that hasn't helped in terms of people being a bit freaked out and everything, and also uncertainty of the world going forward. Because if you look at the numbers after furlough, you may end up 25% of the UK workforce unemployed, which is a disastrous number. And so there's a ton of uncertainty at the moment. And with literally last year, Ipigo going bust, then the Wirecard situation, that several people in the market have shown instability because there wasn't look through from the regulated company to the liquidity position of the holding company. And so the FCA has now addressed that and has put a place in place so they've always got look through. So I think the rallying call is let's get the regulation stabilized. Let's increase the dialogue with the regulator. Let's increase the disclosures with the regulator and making sure that we have an orderly market. Because a lot of us, our team, a lot of us all came from the capital markets, and that was the principle that we operated in, is create an orderly market. You're expected to do that. And so let's take the payments world, which is new regulation in relative terms, and apply the same sort of principles we had in the capital markets world, and to some extent as well, let's learn from some of the PRA regulation, which is about stability of banking. Because you look at the deposits we all hold in the fintech world, we've got almost 10-20% of the deposit base of the UK. And that is a big number. So I think we all need to grow up ourselves and the regulator together to make sure the consumer is protected ultimately.
Sure. I think some good advice to end on there, Nigel. And like I say, looking forward to seeing how the space develops. But for now, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for calling in. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.